Hi, Shannon and Dr. Tarbox. When I go grocery shopping with my daughter, she has to push the cart, and I can't even help her or she will scream and yell. We get lots of stares from other shoppers. She also tantrums if I don't buy the biggest bag or box of food that she likes. I'm a single mom, so I have to take her with me, but it's a struggle. Please help with your wonderful suggestions, and thank you. You know what? If you're still watching, I personally would love to know how old your daughter is, because I don't know whether we're talking about a 4-year-old or we're talking about a 17-year-old.
Right. Yeah,
and that might make a difference in terms of physically what, but okay, Dr. Tarbox, I'm so excited for you to answer this question.
Right. So the grocery store is just the classic environment where it's stressful to be a parent with a kid who misbehaves, right? Yeah. Whether or not the kid's on the spectrum. Yeah. It's just like you're in this fishbowl and everyone's watching you, and and regardless of how much people actually are watching you, you feel like people are watching you. And then of course there always is that jerk every now and then who's giving you a death stare, right?
Or saying something sometimes.
Right,
they do.
Even worse.
They say stuff.
Giving you advice. Yeah, it's really appreciated.
Yeah,
isn't it? Yeah,
it's useful in the moment. So useful.
What could be worse? It's like kicking sand on someone when they're down.
Yeah.
It's just terrible.
Yeah.
So anyways, right, so, because that's such a stressful situation and because there's so much pressure on us as parents, we're very, very likely to give in to the misbehavior, which it sounds like your viewer is quite aware of, right?
Yeah.
And that's just part of the reality. So a couple different things here. One is, it's certainly fine to let your child do what they want to do in the grocery store as long as it doesn't interfere with what you need to do. So if it's possible for your child to push the cart most of the time and you're still able to go down the aisles that you want to go down, I would say let them do it. That's fine, even if it takes a little bit longer, or even if it's a little bit inconvenient, that's great. As long as they're not misbehaving, that's a great way to make the grocery store a more fun experience for the kid.
So is the key, though, that when you get to the grocery store, before they go to take the cart, you say to them, why don't you push the cart? So it's you give the appearance that you are in charge of what's happening?
Sure, okay. Yeah. Or if they ask. If they ask nicely when they're not having a tantrum, can I push the cart, or push the cart, mama, or however they might communicate it, great, let them do it, right?
Okay.
Now, I'm assuming that this mom has already tried that, and there is a limitation to that, and that is at some point you need to turn right when the kid wants to turn left, right? Or the kid's just bumping into other carts too much, so you can't let them push the cart all the time. You have to take over sometimes, and it sounds like that's when it becomes really problematic. The number one, the way that people learn, and according to ABA principles, is practice and clear feedback and clear consequences, repeated practice. So the best thing that this mom can do is give her child repeated practice of having to follow whatever rules she sets in the grocery store or with pushing a cart. So now what that means is repeated practice for you, mom, of being embarrassed and frustrated in the grocery store, which can be terrible, right?
Yeah.
So the nice thing about grocery carts is you can kind of just borrow one. So what I would recommend is borrowing a cart and maybe taking it around the block and just taking a walk with your kid frequently, and with repeated practice and with some kind of reinforcer where you maybe have some kind of signal where, okay, your turn to push, now let your kid do whatever they want, and now my turn to push, and now mom is in charge of the cart, and you provide reinforcement accordingly, right? So whenever the child is accepting of those rules and or follows the rules without having a tantrum, etc. But the point is, get lots of practice in, maybe in an environment that's a little bit less stressful. So maybe in a parking lot where there aren't a lot of other people, maybe walking around the block, but with a cart and sort of practicing, if you will.
I love that because